This tutorial that I'm about to make will show you how to manipulate files for really important file input-output operations such as delete and to check to see if files are there. First thing I'd like you to do is let's go ahead and put together a new program. So I'm going to close out the old solution. I'm going to go to File, New, Project. And I'm going to create a Visual Basic Windows form application. I'm going to call this program, it's a little bit different than what we were doing before. We're not creating files here. We are actually doing file operations, the kinds of things that you're allowed to do in Windows Explorer. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's put this in our Visual Basic folder for chapter. I guess we're in chapter 8, and I'll say OK and OK. Now the first thing I'd like to do is let's go grab a button, and I'm just going to ask a single question here. I'm going to say, does the file exist? So let's double click on that button, and I will say here if io.file.exists, then you need to think up a name. So I'll just say it's called data file.text, but obviously you could put a string in here. Check to see if any name, any file existed in this directory. If it exists, we're going to go on to the next line. Message box, parentheses, quote, data file exists. Now, I'm getting an error on this last line, and I already see the issue. Do you know what the issue is on the last line? I need a closing parenthesis. For the same number of opening parentheses here, you have to have a closing number of parentheses. So we're okay, and I do need the keyword then, and I also need the keyword end if, I believe. And now everything's happy. Now, there is a chance that when you check to see if that file was there, that it wasn't there. So if that's so, I need to have an else here. And if that's so, I just need an appropriate message. It either is there or it isn't there. So I'll say data file doesn't exist. I can't tell you how important this line of code is. It is actually looking into the directory of where our source file is here, and it is checking to see if this file exists. Now, one thing we can do, actually this would be in the innermost debug directory that is looking right now. I do think we're probably going to need another button that just creates a file, and we now know how to easily create a file. I'll say I will create the file, create file. The file I'm going to create is data file .text. Now to create this file, we know the code is simple enough. At this particular point, you should be able to put it together by heart. I want to create it, so I'm going to say what for my first word? Anybody know? Dim. Okay, if I'm creating it, what it's going to be? What is it going to be? SW. I got to write one out to file, right? As what? Does anybody remember? IO dot what? Help me out. Stream writer. And then I put in a space and I say equals IO dot file dot. If I'm actually writing it out, what comes next? yes, it's going to be destructive. It'll never exist before, so I'll say create text. Good. And then within here, I just have to give it a name, and the file I always want to create is just this one right here. Now, believe it or not, that's sufficient. That puts the file there. There's absolutely nothing in it. I don't care that there's nothing in it. There isn't a single word in it. It now exists if I just have one more line of code. Do you know what it is? I'm going to say sr.close. That forces the write, or SW, right. And at this point, let's try out our new button. So let's first try it with nothing there. Does the file exist? Data file doesn't exist. What's up with that? Let's get that fixed. So data file doesn't exist. So right now, quite definitely, the data file doesn't exist. If I click the button, I create that file. I can actually go see it now. I go to File, Open, File, to my innermost debug directory. There it is. There's data file. I know it's there. Now, if I go back to my program and I click that second button, it should be aware that that file is there. Data file exists. I got to tell you, that's pretty profound. For the first time now, we're starting to look at how do you manipulate files and know what's going on with files on your hard drive. And we're getting ready now to do things very much like what you see in Internet Explorer. We can copy files, rename them, you name it. If there's a file operation, we can do it. We can format the hard drive if we want to. I mean, there's almost no limit to what we can do. We can do spooky things. Okay. The next thing I want to do is, it's kind of exciting to see it's there, but I know what you guys really want to do. You want to destroy things, right? So let's go ahead and we'll say we're going to delete. The file is datafile.txt, right? So let's delete that file. Now, to do it, if you just take a look at what we did before, how did we call that command? It was IO file. Are there some other things we can do with IO file? So if I go to this button, button 3, delete, and I just lay down IO file, if I lay down a period, does it become possible to do some stuff? Holy cow, look at all those things I can do. Now that is power. I see delete. How do you suppose you use it? Well, probably delete. You think I got to give anything else? Look, it's giving me a hint. It says delete path is string. So it wants parentheses. What do you suppose I put in the parentheses? Yeah, I'd say data file dot text, but this could be a string. You could pick any file on your hard drive, store it into a string, put it there, click it, and you've just deleted your operating system if you wanted to. You know, whatever you want to do. Don't do it, but you could. Okay, so I got to warn you. We are dealing with some pretty low-level commands here. If that file doesn't exist and I click on this, my system's trying like crazy to delete that file. I've turned over control of it, and it is just like a robot. It is going to keep trying to do this forever. And the thing is, it's not there. So I've just lost control of my operating system if I click on this button and it's not there. So I better make sure it's there. Let's create it. And does the file exist? Yeah, it does exist. Let's delete it. I'm really not sure what just happened. I can't see it happen, but I can check. Does the file exist now? No, file doesn't exist. It's gone. Kind of cool, huh? Okay, the next thing I'd like to do is I'd like to show you the rename command. So we're going to rename a file. And I could actually call it anything I want. We could, just for fun, go grab a text box. It's a little bit different than what you see in the notes, and I'll just enter over here a label up above that says enter new file name. You enter it. We're just going to change it to whatever name you choose. And I'll double click on this button. Do you think we could just make up this code and just see if we can figure it out on our own? We want to rename that file. What do you suppose is going to be the first word I have to write here if I want to rename that file? Just take a wild guess. What am I going to say? io dot what? File dot what? Well, let's go see. Is there a rename command? Sorry, no rename. This one, what's that? That might work, and I'm not saying it won't, but the one that I've always done before is, I use the move command. And the move moves whatever it was before, gets rid of it, and creates whatever you say it's going to be. So I'm going to select move. Now, let's look at the hints that I see here. You give the source file first, comma, and then the destination file name last. Okay, well, that sounds interesting. Let's go with that. So the destination or the source file should be data file dot text, and I'm going to just rename it anything I want. Somebody want to give me an interesting name? Okay, new file. That scares me. I was thinking that just the second before you said that. I wonder what that means. And I think that should work. So now when we rebuild this, you're right. Let's set this to the text box. So we'll go ahead and allow you to call in anything you want. And actually we could read whatever file you want to rename right here too, just by having another text box. What is the file you want to change the name of? What do you want to change it to? That'd be simple to do. But let's go ahead and just show that we can start to use variables here by saying something like dim my name or new name as string. I'm going to say new name is equal to whatever you wrote in text box 1 dot text. If you didn't write anything, I'll say this is equal to quote quote, and I'll say text box 1 dot text is equal to quote quote. That way I don't have to worry about somebody forgetting to enter something in there. It'll be entered to nothing, which is actually kind of spooky. What is a file name named nothing? I think we're getting into dangerous territory here. But at any rate, let's see if this works. Oh, never changed the name of the variable. This is the name we're changing it to, so this needs to be new name, right? Okay, let's go ahead and try that. I think you can see just all kinds of implications here. We're talking about powerful stuff here. Deleting files, renaming files. This is pretty cool. So I'll just say new file dot text. I want to first make sure it exists, and then I want to rename it. And I just blew things up. Something went wrong. Don't know what. I'll go ahead and quit out of here. Do I have a data file dot text? I think I do. What went wrong? I thought I did, didn't I? Did I spell it right? If I rerun it, first I want to create it. Does it exist? Sure it exists. I want to read the file, so I'll say myfile.text. Let's rename it. I've really got a bug here. I don't know why I'm getting that, but I kind of suspect what bothered me was this line right here. I'm going to try to get rid of that line. Yeah, I think I want to have quotes around new name here. No, new name is actually this variable here, so it is whatever I set it to here. I really want it that way. Let's see if it works now. Okay, let's create it. My new name is going to be new file.text, and let's rename it. And apparently we had no trouble there. Let's go ahead, close our program, and see if we can go see it. So I'll say open file, bin, debug, and there it is. There's new file.txt, and it's definitely been renamed because it started off life as being something that was called datafile.txt. So as you can see, this works. We'll pick this up from here next time we get together to talk about it. This concludes the tutorial.